Well, we welcome you in here on a chilly January evening, ready to call the action between a rivalry matchup in Metuchen and Spotswood. Jared Popek joining me with Eddie Kalecki here on the Bulldog Report. Eddie Kalecki, former announcer for Metuchen and now at Rutgers. Eddie, welcome on to the Bulldog Report.
Guys, thank you. It's really great to be back here. It's crazy to think it's been almost 3 years since I was a student here at Metuchen High School, and it's great to see the work that you guys continue to do, and excited to call some basketball, some great GMC hoops.
Not just a student at the Metuchen High School, but also a major founder of the media club with Ben Solaski, helped to develop the program and make it help to fundraise this program and get this to the place that it ended up being. So it's really exciting to have him into the booth. Last year he came on, I think it was January 3rd for the Wardlaw-Hardridge game. Went far Metuchen's way as Metuchen was able to pull out a big win. We'll see if they're able to do more of the same here against Spotswood. Jared, they matched up earlier in the season on the road. How'd that go for the Bulldogs last time they met?
Well, that matchup didn't really go so well for the Bulldogs, but they're looking to get revenge here. It's a good crowd at home so far. Very cold, like you said, windy and cold January day, but this is a good spot for Metuchen to gain some points.
Well, the two star players for Spotswood you want to keep your eye on. Kai Walker, number 0, the senior forward, and number 10, senior Daniel Yaris. Keep an eye on him. He's number 10 down low right now. Eddie, you haven't seen either of these two players, but putting up the numbers that they have, 268 and 276 points on the stat sheet, that's just some remarkable stuff.
Yeah, and I do recall Yaris from a couple of years ago, and I mean, the fact that 156 rebounds pretty good, but clearly Kai Walker can hit the three ball as well.
Kai Walker was a damaging force against Metuchen in their first meeting at Spotswood. He was their lead player, scoring close to 40 points. A rough 38 is what it added up to, at least on NJ.com. And the Bulldogs looking to get a 3 of their own. Jason Woods tosses one up. Yaris pulls down the rebound, and no points come of that. Yaris actually notably in that game dunked. I cannot believe it. He dunked one-handed slam against the Bulldogs in the last few seconds of the game. Actually, I should say last few minutes, but it was a huge momentum boost. And Jared and Eddie playing, I was at the game. It was in Spotswood. Playing in that environment seemed to be so challenging. You see all the fans, they were so loud, they were ruthless, they were getting even personal, and it was so, it was almost a hostile environment for Metuchen to be playing in. So a major advantage for the Chargers to be playing in with those fans is one notable thing, I think. So maybe Spotswood isn't quite as you see Yaris chuck up and nail a 3. Maybe they aren't 16 points better than the Bulldogs, but a lot of the momentum they got last time was from their home advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about in the GMC all across, and really in Central Jersey basketball, you've got those passionate fans. Metuchen's got a nice group that shows up, but Spotswood, St. Joe's, I know, it's just so many of these schools. And you mentioned the dunking, makes me think back to my days. Metuchen gets their first 3 points on the board right there when Jai Dreher used to dunk for the Bulldogs a few years back.
Yeah, it feels like so long ago. And Eddie, you're probably obviously new to this team, but they don't have a Jai Dreher. They don't have a star player. And I said this last year as well. There's not a star player. There's many good players that help to contribute to this, again, gritty, grinded-out team that has been so lovable for Jared and I here in the booth this season.
Yeah, and I know 2 of them, Jason Woods, Ben Santis, we're going to be discussing more at halftime on the Jake Down, but those 2, really talented, both can score the basketball well, both over 200 points this season.
Well, a three-pointer again goes up, three three-pointers for the Spotswood Chargers, one by Yaris and one by Kai Walker, Jared. Exactly what we had, Metuchen should have expected here as the 2 stars making their making a big impact early in this one.
Right, and this is pretty much exactly what we expected from Spotswood so far. It's also kind of what we expected from Metuchen. Jason Woods and Ben Santis leading the charge. They've both led the team in many categories this year and both leading in points so far for this team. So it's been a story of them two so far for Metuchen. Let's see how they can battle back against, the powerhouses that Spotswood have.
Hayes Dorina chucks up a long too. It was just his foot was on the line, I believe. So it's going to be 9-5 early in this one. Walker gets his own rebound on the putback. He gets it to go. And Kai Walker now already has 8 of the 11 Spotswood points. A lot like what we saw last time Metuchen faced off again against them. And notably, by the way, Metuchen is changing up their scheme and starting lineup for them. So for them this game. So one thing I'll say is obviously the starting lineup, not too big of a change, but Danny Galligan is in for Danny Kuhn as you see Hayes Darena take the jumper and go in. But so they change one thing in the starting lineup as well as tweaking their game plan. So they are guarding Yaris and Walker, but doing more of a box in one, but with 2. So I don't know exactly what that's called, but they're doing actually scheming to defend Walker and Yaris, and we'll see if it's gonna work out as this game plays on. But as of now, 11 points combined between Walker and Yaris.
Yeah, Ike, it's nice to see them make adjustments from that first matchup, but I mean, this is not easy. You got Yaris and Walker who have size, as we're seeing right now. Easy to be able to cut to the basket, but they can also rebound the ball really well too. And for a Metuchen team that doesn't have a ton of size, you're going to see those second chance opportunities, as El Shazli just had right there for the bucket for the Chargers.
Right, and this is the story of Spotswood so far. Last game, Metuchen visiting Spotswood, like you said, Spotswood jumped out early and they went out to a 15-8 lead. They amassed a 7-point lead only in the first quarter. So this is pretty comfortable territory for them so far. They like to get out early and like to build this lead, and then they hold it for the whole game.
It was a foul on El Shazli, his first and the team's first of the game. It's a 13-6 offensive battle early in this first quarter. Matt Smith should inbound it. Eddie, you're obviously new to the team, like I said, but this is also another team, one that we've seen in the years past, just a couple years past, but one that has seen a lot of underclassmen talent, and their main players right now, a lot of them happen to be starters and are underclassmen. So we have 2 sophomore starters on the Bulldogs. That's really impressive stuff. Next year, obviously, they're going to be having a bigger role, and obviously the year after that, even a bigger role. So it's exciting for head coach James Cardillo to look at.
Yeah, it really feels like they've been trying to find that identity. They had that group that were seniors when I was a senior, right, with Jai Dreher, Logan Grice, Luke Schleck, and then they had Dom Schiappa the year after that. And I believe this is year 3 now for Coach Cardillo after Guy Jensen. And seems like they're trying to find their identity, but I think this team has plenty of talent. And you know what? If you're an underclassman and you're getting this amount of playing time, you got to be doing something right. And I think we're seeing a lot from this team so far, and it's been really impressive. And right now, trying to go toe-to-toe with the Spotswood group.
Crawling hits a 2 jumper of his own, his first points of this one. Bulldogs miss a 3, trying to get their points on this drive. 15-7 still the score, and they're going to call a foul defensively on Spotswood. Their second team foul here in the first quarter.
And like this underclassmen talent, you know, we've talked about the Santis and Woods leading this team, but I've loved 2 of these sophomores here, Matt Smith and Cam Hayes Darena. They've had fantastic years. Cam Hayes broke out in football this year as well. He's breaking out in basketball this year. I've loved what I've seen from both of them.
Exciting talent all around the board. And another thing that head coach James Cardillo loves about the Bulldogs is they have, he says, about 9 to 10 starters on the team. All of their players, he thinks, are starting caliber, which helps a lot in the end of the game when you're looking to make some subs and give some people some rest when it comes down the stretch.
It's really fascinating to see just how fast Spotswood is playing. It's 2 quick dribbles, couple passes, trying to get open looks from 3. Metuchen kind of trying to play from behind.
Woods snags it OBJ style and lays it in. One-handed catch and a 2-point box. 2-point shot off the box goes in. It's a 15-9 lead and a foul. Metuchen's first. That's going to be on Santis on the shooting foul.
And I loved that pass from Cam Hayes Darena this year. I mean, he made a great play just there. He's led an assist this year. He has 128 points. He's certainly cemented himself into this lineup, and it looks like he's being talked to a little bit there in the corner, but he's had a fantastic year, and really everyone has so far.
First shot goes in on the first of 2 for Joseph Nardino. Nardino with 144 points, 33 assists on the season. 4th on the team in assists. And he hits both from the line, so it's a 6-point game. Smith takes it across the timeline. Minute 40 on the corner. Quick little sweeper to Cam Hayes-Darina, who sets up, throws to the corner. Far corner, bounce pass over to Woods. Woods moving inside. In the paint is Cody Cardillo getting his few minutes of the game, first few minutes, and it's going to be a backcourt violation. Woods was fighting for it. Excellent defensive job by Luke Aquavia defensively for Spotswood, able to force Woods into his own backcourt, and as a result, Chargers basketball from half.
And also Braden crawling before that, forcing the ball backwards, hounding defense, not letting Metuchen get inside the perimeter.
Well, now Spotswood with it offensively. It's been a lot of that this game, Jared. A lot of offense for Spotswood. Very dominant team with the ball. And it's going to be going the other way as they're going to be, I think they call it was a travel.
Yeah,
I didn't quite see
the
yeah, so a travel, it was on the far corner on Spotswood Bulldog ball.
And we almost see this a lot with the Metuchen girls as well. They get so many offensive rebounds that helps them extend these possessions. You miss the first shot, they always get that rebound and put it right back up, turn it into points.
End of the quarter, we'll send Jacob Krumholtz into the media room, and we'll talk to you a little bit for a second on the Jakedown, the quarter Jakedown, and the halftime extended Jakedown coming up as well soon. So stay tuned as the Jacob Krumholtz Jakedown film breakdown, whatever you want to call it, is coming soon. So Cody Cardillo with it, son of head coach James Cardillo. Now a floater chance for Cam Hayes-Darina. He can't get it to go. And Cardillo and the rest of the boys go packing. 33 seconds left. 17-9. Chargers with the lead. Interesting defensive setup for the Bulldogs, as I mentioned earlier. Leaving a wide open man outside, and he's got it for three. Wide open, and a bang for Joseph Nardino. Number 32 gives them 11-point lead with 10 ticks to go in the first of 4 quarters. Hayes-Darina's going to hold it, I think, for a final shot to his right. Looks outside. Galligan likes long threes. Can't get it to go. It bricks up. Final second runs out, and that'll take us to the end of the quarter. We're going to send it now to Jacob Krumholtz in the media room as he's going to have us with a little Jake down.
I tested it. What did you do?
So are we not getting any sound from him? There's no sound from him. All right, we got to get off of it. We apologize if there were some audio issues on that first one. We're going to try to have that fixed up for you by halftime if there was a problem. I believe there was. So anyway, I think Jacob must have been saying something along the lines of, well, Spotswood's out to a hot start, Eddie.
Yeah, they're shooting the ball well from three-point range. They're really crisp passing the basketball, too, and they really seem to be in sync with each other. And, a team with a lot of seniors, you'd expect that. But even for a high school level, just the ball movement has been impeccable here from Stephen Mate's group.
Here's Kuhn. He made it to the baseline. Now outside to Matt Smith, a long two. Chance doesn't go. It totally the Bulls out into the hands of Kai Walker, and Walker's crew takes it across the line. Walker hard to miss with those neon blue shoes. He's made a neon impact for his team this season, as we said. But last game, as I want to kind of break a little bit more into, 38 points for the guy, and just unbelievable for the senior forward. He has already made an impact in this one, but not quite as much as you'd expect. There's been a lot more spreading the ball around as maybe Spotswood's catching on to this defensive scheme that head coach James Cardillo has cooked up.
Yeah, I think that's the case, Ike. Kai Walker, one of those threes he hit was contested. He's not really getting any open opportunities. Metuchen's making sure to hone in on him. They don't really seem that fearful of players besides Walker and Yaris beating them from deep.
That's a good point, Eddie. I think that's exactly right. They're literally, focusing on those two and letting the rest happen as is. And the rest is happening as is, as there's 20 points right now for Spotswood on the board. They look like they're off to a hot start. Bulldogs look to try to get some of those points back as they inbound it with Smith. I think they're going to call that off of Woods, and it's going to be a Spotswood ball out of bounds.
I do want to mention while I'm here, I love the new intro they have. You guys have put together with the spotlight and everything. I mean, it's come a long way. You know, I remember when I first started calling games here, now like 6 years ago, which is crazy to think. I mean, I was on Twitter and I had my phone on a tripod and I was turning it back and forth myself. That was the technology we had. So it's great to see, you know, me starting this and then Ben stepping in and then what you guys have been able to do over these last few years. It's just really exciting to see where this program continues to go.
Well, it's exciting to have you on, obviously, as always, Eddie. It's really exciting, and obviously no better way to celebrate than some rivalry Monday night basketball here at the Brady Burrow. Here's Ben Santis. He goes to the rim, and those are his first points of the game. And now Metuchen's halfway to 22.
Good vision there from Metuchen. Cardillo setting up the play. Santis getting inside and getting that cutting outlet pass.
They're going to call a foul on the Bulldogs. That was Woods. It was his first call.
And the problem with a team like Spotswood is you can't say you didn't see this coming. They get out to leads very early. This team is very good. They've only lost one game so far in their division this year. So they are a very formidable team, and they get out early, which is a problem for a team like Metuchen that likes to stay within, you know, the range in these gritty games and these rivalry games to stay in the game.
Yeah, Jared, and their one loss, by the way, is against Timothy Christian divisionally at least. And if you're new, Eddie, Timothy Christian has turned into a powerhouse, and I know that traditionally that's not the case.
That was not the case.
Oh, yeah, it's not the case, but obviously, as we've talked about, I'm doing the documentary on the team, and being able to be in their locker room and be at that game on the road. It was a Friday night. It was just before winter break. I'll be honest with you, Timothy Christian looked unbelievable. They put up points like I've never seen a team, and it was really impressive. Apparently they're recruiting really well. They're getting players from all over the place, and I don't know, whatever they're doing well, as they handed it to Spotswood when they met earlier in the month.
Well, and you know, when you're a non-public, you kind of get those opportunities. And I mean, I remember when I was a student when the power shift kind of happened between St. Joe's and St. Thomas Aquinas. And I also remember a few years ago when Colonia and J.P. Stevens were challenging those teams the year they had the pod championships instead of the GMC tournament because of COVID. So
that was bizarre.
Yeah, you could always get surprises, but it seems like Timothy Christian has sort of figured out a formula here to contend, and good for them, because those 4 years when I was a student, they were towards the bottom of the GMC, and to see them succeeding, good for them.
Undefeated in the conference, by the way. Metuchen will meet Timothy Christian pretty soon, by the way, really soon. It's going to be next week, so a big one. Wednesday is their game against Timothy Christian. So we'll be live on the Bulldog Report for that one if you want to see just how explosive that offense particularly is.
And while we're talking about, I guess, future games, we're also going to be on the Bulldog Report Friday. So we're getting Monday, Wednesday, Friday basketball coverage this week. Friday is also the boys' senior night if you're willing to come support.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe Saturday too, as the girls are also home on Saturday. So busy week, like you said, on the Bulldog Report, as a little bit of circus events going on underneath the hoop. Ball pops around, but it results in a Kai Walker bucket.
And Ike, I think the real difference between these two teams right now is the finishing down low. Metuchen's missed a lot of layups. They've had some good looks. And on the other side, Kai Walker's been blanketed pretty much all game and is finishing despite being contested and even through contact.
The problem with Metuchen a lot of the season, and head coach James Cardillo has been stressing it a lot, is that they sometimes don't finish with the layups, and those should be gimmies. Those should be free points, and they aren't always for the Bulldogs, and that creates problems when you're late in the game trying to come back, and you wish you just had some more opportunities.
That makes me feel like I'm back in Piscataway because, you know, Rutgers men's basketball this season has been the exact same problem, just not making layups, and when you get open looks like that, you don't get many of those during the game. You've got to capitalize in those situations.
And the problem is you'll face a guy like Zach Edey, right, on Purdue, and he's just unstoppable.
Yeah.
Well, there's no Zach Edey per se in the GMC Blue, but there is more of a I don't even know who you'd compare him to, but with Grosby, I'm not sure if you know Alex Grosby. That name has been around a little bit.
I remember the first Grosby.
Right, Jeremy, I think, was the Grosby. And now Alex Grosby, well on his way to surpass 2,000 points. Just a junior. Last season had over half of his team's points when Metuchen played them. He is unbelievable, just a junior, like I said. Absolute star player for South River. And again, you don't have to look further than here. Daniel Yaris and Kai Walker, some other stars in the GMC Blue. So it's really been exciting to watch all the action play out this season. And on the way up is Walker, and he's gonna get a travel.
Yeah, he got forced into a corner on the baseline and had to put up a shot that went off the side of the backboard, and that was great defense there, face up from, looked like Jason Woods was in there in the mix for Metuchen. Good play overall.
Santos with some off-balance points, and he gets the bucket to go. 28-14. Metuchen seems to be holding their own on this second quarter, but the first quarter was a little bit lopsided in favor of Spotswood. That one doesn't go in favor of Spotswood, as the Bulldogs will have the ball offensively from the corner. Ben Santos pump fakes, goes to Galligan, can't get it to go, hits off the rim and back into the hands of Nardino. Or not Nardino, that was Kieran Barlow. From our corner, can't get it to go off the rim. Fighting for it is Santos. I think they're going to get the call towards White, and that's what they will. White's ball. Spotswood will inbound from the far corner. Up by 14 with 3:32 in the half.
Yeah, it's interesting to see also with Spotswood. I think the size is a little bit of difference. They don't necessarily have a big, neither does Metuchen, frankly, but it just feels like they're more willing to impose inside. So for the Bulldogs right now, I think you got to get out in transition. You had some good looks from three, but you also got to just try to get to the basket and hit your layups. You know, you don't want to be chucking too much when you're down 14, but the Bulldogs are definitely still very much in this game. And, you know, Spotswood has the tendency to start strong, but even though they're finishing these wins, give up a little bit on the gap. So we'll see what the Bulldogs can do as this game progresses.
Hitting their layups, that's a good point. And like we said, that has been kind of the difference early on. I mean, Spotswood probably has had some better chances, but the Bulldogs have not capitalized on some of those open chances in the paint, and that's been kind of at fault for them early on in this one, headed towards the half. Hayes Dorita pump fake, got a man, and he got the points, and one. He'll get sent to the line for a three-point play chance.
That might be the best play I've seen from Metuchen so far. Hayes Dorino with the hesitation to draw the contact, gets the defender up in the air, and finishes from 6 feet, gets hit on the arm, unfazed, hits the basket. Now has a chance for a three-point play.
Bulldog look right now. Hayes Dorina, Galligan, Woods, Santos, and
Smith is your last
Smith
one.
is far at his own end. I was like, what's 4?
Yeah, I saw him walk back there.
There's Smith. He appears on screen. Spotswood with it. They toss it now to the corner. They get the ball to Walker. Beautiful passing, and Nardino lays it in. That is amazing passing, Eddie, by Spotswood to get to the open man, and Nardino's able to lay it off the glass.
Passing was good. Cutting was even better. Through the back door. That's where the move came there for Nardino to get inside. They found him, and he had no defense on him.
Santos with some trickery, went between the legs and weaving in and out of defenders, but couldn't get the basket to go, and there's going to be a travel on Walker. He still hit the 3 afterwards. Shows how good he really is.
Yeah, he seems a little confused by the call, but, you know, sometimes when you stop at the three-point line, catch the pass, and then get going, you got to make sure you keep the foot planted and then hit the dribble. Looked like he took one too many steps.
Bulldogs on it, moving towards the line. Hayes Dorino with a fadeaway. He can't get it to fall, and now Spotswood on a fast break, 3-on-1. Here's Nardino, and he gets his second pair of points in the last minute. A timeout called by James Cardillo. Jared, if you're head coach James Cardillo, what are you telling your squad right now, down by 17 with 2:21 and a half?
I think you're identifying the problem that's really been the problem all year, is just finishing your layups like that. That where Cam Hayes Dorino was down low and just got double teamed, it was unfortunate, yes, but he had other options to pass there. I mean, it's difficult when you have a sizable team like South River, yes, but Spotswood, where it's hard to enter the paint successfully and put a shot up, but when you get those chances, you have to capitalize, and that's something that I think Coach Cardillo is stressing. Their passing and their ball security, though, has not been bad this game at all.
Yeah, adding to that, they've limited the turnovers. It's just the shot selection. When they've gotten good looks, they haven't been able to hit them, and then there's just been a few too many shots that probably shouldn't have been taken. Fadeaways, double teams.
Yeah.
We saw Santos try the little head fake. It was a nice move, but when you're against a defense like the Chargers have, they're not really going to bite on that. So if you're the Bulldogs, got to look for that extra pass. If you're getting doubled, that means somebody's open out there. So got to take that into consideration. But I mean, overall, I don't think this has been a particularly bad game from Metuchen, especially given how they struggled against Spotswood last month, and they're one of the top teams in the GMC this year, but definitely a lot of room for improvement.
Stephen Mate's quad up to a 17-point lead with 2:17 to go at half. Again, we'll have the Jake down. Hopefully audio problems that were in the first quarter will not be in the at the end of the second quarter, as there's going to be a foul defensively on Spotswood. Bulldog ball will stay in the O-zone. Foul on Shazley is first. I should say Kai Walker. That was his first foul, excuse me. Walker missed, Woods missed the first free throw. I'm all over the place, but he gets the second one to go and cuts the lead to 16.
And something interesting is Spotswood's already amassed 5 fouls in this half, so now Metuchen's into the bonus here, which could be interesting as we go down the stretch towards the end of this half.
Yeah, 2 minutes with a bonus is a lot of time.
Right.
And, Spotswood, I think, would be up a lot more right now, but they have gotten sloppy with the basketball, particularly in the second quarter. We saw the travel a couple minutes ago. They're a carry.
Well, now Woods with it. He'll look to his left. Now moving back right. Jumper, he's got it to go. That's one of those shots, Eddie, you were talking about. Might not be the smartest at the moment, but that one falls for Woods. And the Bulldogs, they trim the lead to 14.
I mean, if you're Metuchen, you're going to take the points right now and get it in the hands of two of your best shooters. You got to get Woods and Santos involved, and Woods look pretty good so far on both sides of the ball.
Woods has looked really good this year overall, so we'll see if we can find out more information about that. Hint, hint, we will at halftime. And a man goes down. That's Hayes Darina. Is going to be offensive foul on Spotswood. Kieran Barlow, I think, was going to be the one that committed the foul.
And I know he is a phenomenal soccer player.
Yeah.
Not as good of a basketball player, but I think I was looking at this today. He had almost 45 points in his Spotswood season this year.
I'm looking at Jared like, Kieran Barlow, that's the guy that torched us when we played him in soccer this year.
Yeah.
But then we did lock him up one of the last games. But he's, in all respect, he had, I think it was 11 goals through the first 5 or 6 games. I mean, he was unbelievable before we played them. We're like, this guy is insane. And then he shot a rocket in the corner. We're talking basketball, but just a little highlight towards Kieran Barlow, who's been an excellent high school athlete in his career. The second shot doesn't go for Cam Hayes Darina, and now Spotswood back on the charge. Yaris with it. Haven't called his name in a little bit. Now moving to the net, and it's good for Nardino. And he's been pretty good in the last few minutes. Nardino, not their top scorer, their third top scorer, but really doing his job in the glass.
Yeah, I think we talked about this dynamic duo from the beginning. I think we got to start talking about a big three here because Nardino is such a good mover without the ball, and it sets him up for easy finishes down low. Really good at threading the needle from defenders.
There's Woods off the glass. He can't get it to go. A little too strong on the shot. Now Shazley with the pass outside to Walker. Kicks down towards the baseline. Back out to Nardino, who's a paint master, at least in this one. He'll get fouled defensively by Ben Santos.
And Eddie, I know you were saying big three, but honestly, you can include El Shazley in this too, right? He's the leading assister so far on this team. Right. So really all of the starting 5 has been contributing.
Yeah, and that's really the fact that you've got this mix. I mean, Metuchen, you mentioned how they got all these players who are starting caliber. Spotswood's got these 5 starters who can all be number 1s or number 2s on teams, and just being able to kind of have that in your arsenal really lets you switch things up. And when a team like Metuchen hones in defensively as the Bulldogs pick up another foul, when they hone in defensively on a player like Walker, as they did right there, you got other guys who can step up, and that's why the Chargers have been successful through this first month and a half of the season.
And while this roster is very deep, it looks like on paper they really only go with 5 and a 6th man being Aquavia. Their leading scorers are only really their top 6, and then there's almost a 30-point drop-off on the next one.
Right, you'll see Barlow, he actually does get decent minutes, and Aquavia, as you said, and then it's just kind of, at least statistically, drops off a little bit. So, interesting point there by Jared. Inbounded up top, Aquavia with a pass outside. That was crawling, excuse me. Now up top towards the logo. Nardino with a pass back to Crawling. Crawling to his left, defended by Danny Kuhn, a senior. They look to be holding for one last shot. And a rebound chance, and it's good for Yaris. He was fouled also. Cam Hayes-Dorina with a foul. And Yaris will take a chance for a 3-point play. Very offensive first half. Even for the Bulldogs, on pace for over 40 points. Actually, that isn't great, but over 70 points is the pace right now that Spotswood's at, Jared. Looking really good.
And the problem is their field goal percentage is just fantastic so far. Beyond the arc, down low is really where they shine, and they've been so good this year at just everything they've done. The offensive rebounds have helped them a lot, but they know how to capitalize on the other team's mistake, and they're doing that on Metuchen's right there.
5 seconds, Nardino, fast break chance. He gets him to go. The points will count on the floor, and the final seconds run out. 40-21's our score after 2 quarters. 1 half done, 40-21. Spotswood in the lead. We'll kick down to the Jake Down next door. They're going to be breaking down the first half and a little bit more, talking about the year and what's to come here on the Bulldog Report. So Jared Popek, Eddie Kalegi and Jacob Krumholtz will take us around.
Great. How's it going? My name is Jacob Krumholtz, and today I'm joined by Eddie Kalegi. Good to have you on the broadcast, Eddie.
Yeah, it's great to be here, back here at Metuchen High School, and we've had a fun game so far.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, you graduated here 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2021. It's been a while.
Yeah, interesting to be back here, right? A little bit different here with the Jake Down, right? Just different setup, right?
Yeah, it's really cool to be back. I mean, I was here for 4 years, and getting to come and see some Metuchen basketball, always great to see.
So today's Jake Down here, we'll do a little bit of coverage here. Little GMC Blue Division recap here. Timothy Christian, as we talked about a little earlier in the broadcast, pretty dominant stuff here. 9-0 in the division. That's a sizable. That's pretty dominant play, and already a win over Spotswood. Spotswood's only loss, right? A little different than when you were here, as they were talking earlier.
Yeah, and it almost reminds me a few years ago, St. Thomas Aquinas was the non-public school in the Blue Division, and they were all the way up the top. Now you got Timothy Christian basically doing the same thing. But I'd also look out, Middlesex is always dangerous. They're 5-3 in division. Overall, only 8-7. But the Blue Jays are always a team to be reckoned with.
Exactly. And while it may not show here on the standings, this is a really strong division. South River, obviously, beat us here twice. Beat us here earlier in the year. And in the last matchup, too, we weren't able to bring you that game, obviously, away. But really strong play. You never know out of South River. Really, it's a really strong GMC Blue here this year.
It really is, and it's always fun to see, when Metuchen's playing top competition all the time. 3-6 in division, but hey, this is a stacked division and still a few more games that they could win.
Exactly. So we'll bring it back to the Spotswood matchup. Kind of a really good rivalry that's grown here over the years. Obviously in soccer, some really intense play in soccer. Here on basketball, too. It's a little one-sided, as you can see here. You break it down, I mean, it wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't close, because, right, obviously Metuchen played him. Obviously the 17-point gap there isn't a true reflection of it. They played a lot closer, but, it hasn't been that, it's been a little one-sided.
Yeah, I don't think it's been too bad, but, I mean, just like tonight, Spotswood got out to a fast start in this game, and Metuchen, while they tried to be competitive, and I mean, they played them pretty close the rest of the game, only lost by 3 in the second quarter. Second half altogether, they only got outscored by 7, but when you fall behind by that much early, by 7 in this one and by 11 tonight, it's going to be difficult.
And it's kind of eerily similar. Metuchen tonight with that 9 in the first quarter, 8 in the last matchup. That's a tough thing about this Spotswood team, just how aggressive they are. And we could put it back on I kind of like to think of them as the two shooting stars that we're talking about. They put up 9 points in the first quarter, all on threes, just to start the game. And that's Kai Walker and Daniel Yaris. Really impressive play.
They're both immensely talented, and the fact that Kai Walker has been hitting so many shots while contested is crazy to see too, because Metuchen clearly learned from this game, tried to scheme for her defensively, and it's not working so far. So those two definitely shooting stars.
Exactly, definitely just able to react to that scheme is really impressive out of high school basketball. Just really impressive in all types of basketball. So we've been talking about Spotswood here on the Metuchen squad. You know, we might have two shooting stars of our own, and that's notably by junior Jason Woods. And we got a little Taylor Swift reference here. Are we out of the woods yet? No, folks, we're not. Jason Woods' phenomenal season is continuing. He's leading Metuchen in points, and he's already got 10, 11 points here tonight, right?
Yeah, he's already in double figures, and he might be number 0, but he's been a hero so far in this game for Metuchen. I mean, hitting fadeaway shots, high contested, really difficult shots, and he's been able to hit them, and no surprise why he leads the team in scoring.
Exactly, and really impressive performance at South River. You know, we talk about the Grosby cousins. You know, Grosby putting up 40 points in that Spotswood game. Jason Woods, really impressive 32 points in an away gym and in a gym that gets packed in a GMC rivalry game.
Yeah, it's never easy to play that well on the road, particularly against South River. That's one of the more heated rivalries in the GMC Blue Division. And, I mean, 32 points, he's explosive.
Exactly. And, you know, we talk about the other, you know, Ben Santis. You obviously can't mention Metuchen Bulldogs basketball without talking about Ben Santis. And we got another really fun graphic here. Shout out to Kayla Goronsky for helping think of this funny name here for this graphic. You know, the battle for leading scorer has gone back and forth. We saw Ben Santis started out early. Jason Woods has been kind of the talk of the town recently, but you know, both are leading the team in points, rebounds, and steals. Jason Woods with 218 points, Ben Santis with 205.
Yeah, I feel like there's been at least one Santis in the school for the last 10 years. I graduated with one, but Ben has been a lead on the court this year, and you see the confidence from him. He's not afraid to go up in double teams, try to make plays. He's also really good at rebounding, too, and for a Metuchen team that doesn't have a ton of size, you need those forwards and those wings that are willing to crash the glass and will make plays, and this guy right here will do that.
Exactly, and you know, it's really important. This is kind of, we've been talking about this a little bit. The key to this game against an oversized Spotswood team is going to be that rebounding. And as we see, you know, we're going to have to come up on Jason Woods and Ben Santis to really lead that rebounding effort, both leading the team at 1 and 2 in rebounds. And, you know, we were kind of talking about it earlier, right? That's going to be a key to tonight's game.
Yeah, and also trying to take the ball away. We saw in that second quarter, Spotswood got a little careless with the basketball, started to make some turnovers. You know, if Metuchen can maybe press a little bit, just really get up in the face of the ball handlers, maybe we see these numbers pop out too. Santis second and steals, Woods is fourth.
Exactly. As I would expect as we see into this next half, I'd expect to see a lot out of these two, especially with this, you know, adaptive Metuchen offense.
Yeah.
So that's all we have for tonight's game here on this first half recap. NFL football. In the midst of the NFL tournament, as you heard it called last night on the broadcast. Anything that surprised you this weekend?
Well, I'll start with last weekend quickly. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so this has been a frustrating last 6 weeks. This weekend wasn't all that surprising. The 4 teams that I thought were going to win did. Kansas City, of course. I mean, you can't have the AFC Championship these days without Patrick Mahomes.
It feels like one's needed. You kind of you're required to have Patrick Mahomes in. I wonder if that's in like his contract there in Kansas City. But yeah, it's really impressive. I'm a Packers fan. My dad's a huge Packers fan. Shout out to Mr. Mooney. Congratulations on being a new dad. Greatest Packers fan I know. Biggest Packers fan here at Metuchen High School. But, you know, it was upsetting way to finish. But, you know, it's a great... We were playing on borrowed time, as I like to say about it. You know, a 9-8 record, barely sneaking into the playoffs. Really fun to watch. But, you know, obviously... Coming down the line, you know, as an Eagles fan, coming down the line, you would have hoped it would have gone a little bit further. Jordan Love, you know, expands it. But at least we're not Jared Popek. At least we're not Cowboys fans.
Hey, there's only been 2 teams in the NFC, I believe, that haven't made the conference championship this century. It's the Commanders and it's the Cowboys. But hey, Packers, good storyline. I got a couple of friends at Rutgers, you know, they're big fans. They're actually like owners of the team because you can do
Yeah,
that with the
exactly.
shares.
Yeah, yeah.
They were not excited about Jordan Love, but he's clearly come to play, and they found another good quarterback.
Exactly. I think it's the Packers' way. It's the Packers' tradition. So that's NFL football. Anything about you, Eddie? You know, obviously working on media at Rutgers. What's coming up for you?
It's been a busy couple of weeks. I just got back. I was at Ohio State, Michigan State for a couple of games. Worked swimming yesterday, and on Sunday, calling Rutgers against Purdue. Last time they played at Jersey Mike's Arena, Ron Harper Jr. hit that half-court shot.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens this time.
Exactly. You know, it's always fun to watch those matchups. You know, I love Rutgers basketball. Listening to you call Rutgers basketball is a great thing. It's a great, proud Metuchen moment. Thanks for coming on. It was really great having you.
Yeah.
And we'll get ready, and we'll catch you back with second half highlights. Well, maybe some second half highlights, but more second half calls coming in from the broadcast booth. Thank you, and have a good night.
Back in action, or almost at that time here. Bulldogs trail. It's been a tough start for them, down 19, and we got some words from the locker room as you joined us here on the Bulldog Report for the second half. Some words from the locker room as we have our sources that were in there. The message is apparently that we're being told, stay sharp on defense. Hold strong on those big two, as they call them, with Yaris and Walker. Hold strong defensively against them. That's been a big focus. And the biggest focus, apparently our source, Luke Krumholtz, says, is body language. Keep your body language positive. And it went as far as head coach James Cardillo saying, if I see your body language not looking the way we want it to, we will bench you for the rest of the game. So it's really hammering home that idea, Jared.
And I think that's a good thing to instill in your team, right? You don't want to look defeated because there's a 19-point deficit. You still have 16 minutes of basketball to play, and if you know, especially in college, it's a lot of time. And Metuchen can very well win this game if they set their ship straight. I mean, the body language is going to determine who plays, and I think that's correct.
I think that's a good call by head coach James Cardillo, too, because even if they go down, at least you want to go down with pride, as now they're trailing by double their score.
And we just saw Daniel Yaris there crash the boards and getting second chances. We talked about how Metuchen, that's their bread and butter with the offensive rebounding, but how about that right there from Spotswood getting a second chance?
Santos with a little spinorama in the paint, and he's going to be fouled on the way up to the net.
And, I mean, the other formula's got to be push the ball at Yaris and Walker to try to get them to pick up fouls because, I mean, that's got to be one of the recipes at this point.
Yeah, fouling them both out should be the plan, even though each of them has one foul at this point. But I think you're right about that. Actually, you know what? One notable guy in terms of fouls is Zayad El-Shazly. I mean, that was his third, which you want to keep your eye on, but it's nothing to really worry too much about in terms of fouling out, as El-Shazly kicks a pass to the far corner. Now near us is Nardino, who, Eddie, looked really good in the first half.
Yeah, I think Nardino, the unsung hero of this game so far, they go for a little Metuchen grapple there fighting for the ball. Good defense there from the Bulldogs, but going to be curious to see just how Metuchen can defend the paint, because that's really where Spotswood's been hitting. They hit those threes to start, the 3 3-pointers immediately to start the game. Ever since then, it's really been all about Spotswood getting inside the box and making plays.
Right, it's been a lot of the paint. I mean, they had some points from outside the arc in the first quarter, especially right out of the gate. They hit some 3-pointers. They looked really good towards the end of the half shooting the rock, but really in the paint is when they're shining the most, and Spotswood has always been a team that way, at least this season. As you see Cam Hayes-Dorita with a little Euro step point, and it's 42-24 a minute into the second half. Three-pointer, no good. We'll see if Metuchen can pick up some momentum now with forcing 2 stops and now a chance for 2 consecutive buckets. Galligan into Woods, and Woods with the points, as Eddie, you and Jacob talked about at the halftime.
Yeah, and how about immediately a timeout called there by Stephen Mate? I think the right decision. Don't want this to get out of hand and let the Bulldogs start feeling good, especially when you're playing on the road if you're Spotswood. But great ball movement there from Metuchen. Galligan setting that up, and Woods through the contact finishing.
Well, we took a look at halftime at the stat sheet from the first half, or excuse me, the first meeting between the two. The final score separated by 17 points. But the game obviously had its tendencies. So being there, being able to watch that game, I will tell you, like Eddie said, started off really hot on one side. Spotswood was up early. They were up big. Metuchen started to look really good just before halftime. They got some crazy momentum, and you don't see that as much on the stat sheet, but they really had some momentum. Halftime kind of did them injustice. The third quarter, Spotswood came out hot, and the fourth quarter, Metuchen started to get closer, but Spotswood put them to bed with a Yaris dunk, and after that, Eddie, it was just all Spotswood.
Yeah, and statistically looking at that game, it was all because of the strong start in the first quarter. Same deal that we saw earlier in this game. So it's going to be interesting to see if Metuchen can sort of rally back. I mean, falling behind 20, not really favorable, but we'll see. Only down 16, and again, you're on your home floor, and this would be a big statement if Metuchen can at least make it close, and maybe if they're lucky, contend for a victory.
Well, momentum is such an important part of basketball, obviously, especially at home, when momentum can almost double when you kind of have it and your fans are cheering behind you. Even if it's not exactly a packed crowd here on this cold Monday night, it's still something that could really affect a player and a team when they're working in unison to try to get back into a game. So 42-26, El Shazley with it, looking to add on to his low point total as of now. He's more of an assist guy, Jared, like you said.
Yeah, and he is really a great player on this team that is able to facilitate the ball very, very well and give it to, the Yaris and the Walker of this team that can just produce those points.
And I think it's funny you brought up the momentum side of things. I'm trying to keep the Rutgers references at a minimum, but when you're at Jersey Mike's Arena and you see the fans starting to get fired up and amped up, it really makes a difference and can cause a team to really get really frazzled. So, high school, a little bit of a different environment, but still,
right.
You're playing on the road, young kids, it can be a real challenge. So that was big right there for Spotswood to step up with El Shazley and hit both of those free throws.
That was big, and now they get a quick steal. And like you said, that timeout was so crucial because now they were able to talk things over and cut whatever at least idea of momentum Metuchen had. At least everything's all relative in this game so far, but cut any idea of momentum out of the picture. Now they're looking to add on to their total. Metuchen outscoring them in this early second half by just 1 point. And a foul again by El Shazley on the way to the rim. He'll get 2 shots. If you're hearing some music in the bathroom, excuse me, in the background, if you're hearing music in the background, that's not Jacob Krummeltz's playlist. That is the orchestra, I believe, middle school orchestra playing next door. So we apologize. We can't move all our tech stuff for now, but if you hear it, I'm not sure if you do, but it is a little bit louder on our end. So.
I know, I got caught off guard. I mean, I'm sitting here watching basketball, all of a sudden I hear an orchestral chord in the background.
Yeah, no, we just want to make sure that you know that that's not us. We're not trying to add some soothing music in the background, although it is very nice by the middle schoolers. And speaking of very nice, Wood's on the way up to the hoop, but he's fouled, and he'll get 2 shots.
And you mentioned hitting the layups. These are the other freebies you got to get. When you get to the free throw line, when you make a nice move like that when you're Woods, that was a good drive to set himself up. Now you got to capitalize.
Now you got to hit them both preferably. The high arc shot is good on the first. Eddie, we caught a lot of games a couple of years ago where we saw a lot of high arcs from that squad. For whatever reason, Liam Benderly, I just remember, with the ridiculous foul shots, he struggled early on with the low arcs, and then he started moving high arcs, and they were a little more successful. That team was pretty funny looking back at it. Jared, you weren't in the picture yet. You kind of joined last year, but was a little bit of a fun team to call. It was Chiappa, and as you see, a quick steal, Smith to the hoop. He goes up. He gets the points. He was not fouled. Looked like he could have been. But Chiappa and a different squad out there. No starters besides Santis are still on the team.
Yeah, I remember Max Cohn was on that team too,
Yeah.
as the setup guy. But how about that last play we saw? Spotswood gets a bucket. Nice drive by Matt Smith. Looked like to me that he was fouled. Didn't get the call.
Yeah,
But
that
the Bulldogs are pushing the ball much better
I
now.
thought he might have had some contact on his arm on the way up, but again, the refs didn't call it. Good job by Matt Smith to get nitty and gritty, and the three-pointer no good from Galligan. It's pulled down by the Chargers.
I love the way that Metuchen has come out of this half. You can tell the body language is, of course, still on a high, and Metuchen, I think, has been playing very well, very on their front foot. The problem is plays like that for Spotswood that just cancel out Metuchen's momentum, and we've seen it in these high-octane teams like Timothy Christian, especially now, South River, and of course Spotswood. So that's just tough to handle if you're Metuchen, and that's where you have to emphasize your defense.
Hayes Arena trips on the timeline. Bulldogs still pick it up and pass it. Now it's at the baseline with Smith. He gets swatted away. Was he fouled? He was not. That was a good defensive play by Kai Walker, and the Bulldogs will inbound from the baseline.
Good reaction by Kai Walker, who was stationed at that low block and then pivoted to make the rejection.
Checked into the game is Danny Kuhn. He's out there with Ben Santis, Cody Cardillo, Danny Galligan, and Cam Hayes-Dorina, who you can't see with their huddle camera. He is in the corner. That's another thing, Eddie. We do have the huddle cameras, new technology all over the place. It doesn't have to. We don't have to use that switcher, which was really a pain to use, as Kuhn is fouled and sent to the line for two.
That was always a challenge. I remember, well, the first couple years when I did it, I was my own camera operator on an iPhone. Then when Ben was here initially, I mean, we used to have the camera ops, but it was a real challenge. And I always think back to that 2020, 2021 season when, parents couldn't be here for the games. We really had to be the eyes for everybody to be able to watch Metuchen High School basketball. We ended up doing like 30-something games in 40 days. And,
Yeah.
What
was the game where you had like 1,000 viewers? A Middlesex game, I think. Maybe?
Yeah, it was crazy, and a big testament to that, and big reason that the steps continue to be made today to take it in the right direction. But I remember then the real challenge was making sure we had enough camera operators for the game. So it is cool to see that you guys have like sort of this robot cam that takes care of the business.
This is unheard
yourself.
of. We didn't even talk to you about this, but the huddle camera is pretty cool. We get to use it. It is a pain sometimes, audio and transferring everything to YouTube so we can have you guys watch it. But it is, in the end, it ends up being a really useful device for us, as Yaris misses a three-pointer and it's pulled down by Ben Santis. Santis at the top of the key. A little bouncer now to Danny Kuhn. Kuhn over to Cardillo, who likes the paint, and he's fouled on the way up to the rim. He'll get 2 shots. A lot of fouls, Eddie, early in this second half.
Yeah, but Metuchen right now just they've been able to stay even with Spotswood, but they just can't really cut anything into that deficit. Haven't gotten any closer than 16. It's just the fact that the Chargers were able to start as hot as they did, hit their first 3 3-pointers, led 20-9 at the end of the first quarter. You don't want to say that a deficit after 8 minutes is insurmountable, but certainly a challenge. But Metuchen definitely crashing the boards right now and drawing that contact, which is a good sight to see.
I like what they're doing, actually, offensively, and you'd have to think that if the game, and I don't want to cut anything out, but if the game was a little bit closer, this would be that much more fun to watch, because Metuchen's now getting all these fouls. This is the 4th foul on El Shazley, and the Bulldogs have been drawing fouls here in the third quarter. Already 4 by the Chargers in the second half, which is something to keep your eye on when it comes to the bonus.
Yeah, now Shazley, while he's not their main scorer, he's their primary facilitator. So if you can get him out of the game, I think it does take a level out of that offense. Yeah.
Yeah, and the chemistry is a huge thing. First shot goes in. Second shot swishes, and now Metuchen trims the lead to 17. Nothing crazy, but they're still going to look to apply some more pressure. Here's Cardillo, almost got himself a steal. No foul there. Walker goes up on a jumper, and he gets it to good. Not a jumper, but floating to get it off the glass. That's a great assist there by Joseph Nardino, who's looked really good.
And Walker didn't even need to take that jump ball there to get the layup. He could have got down, settled it, and put it back up, but that's just a testament to his skill so far, and we've seen it in shining today.
Cardillo goes into the trenches and misses a layup, and like we were talking about, got to hit those layups if you can. Walker with a fadeaway jumper, swatted back and into the arms of Cam Hayes-Dorino, who takes it across the logo with some options. 3 left, 1 right. Takes a deep 3, bricks, rebounded Walker, and that offensive chemistry that Metuchen had a little bit earlier in the third quarter has kind of taken a little bit of a lapse here.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really that. It's more, I think, the shot selection right now. I mean, we saw the reverse layup attempt and then trying to logo 3. That's a nice play, though.
That's a beautiful pass, and Kuhn does what he's good for, just getting the gimmies. He's really good at just capitalizing on those open looks, and Kuhn's able to lay it off the box.
We haven't seen him too much today, but that was a fantastic play, and of course that was started by the pass, but the play to run that up there and take the open lane.
Spotswood's rushing their offense a little bit, I will say, and they're going to call a timeout. Good call by Stephen Mate to kind of let these guys rest and talk things over, up 17 with 2:06 in the third.
And Danny Kuhn, I mean, it's crazy to think now that the seniors on this team are the only ones that were students when I was a student. And he's really one of the veterans of this team, and you mentioned doesn't play a lot. He's been shifted out of the starting lineup for this particular matchup, but he's still one of the vital pieces of this team. It's just having that veteran leadership always crucial, and to see players like him and Santos and Cardillo step up to that level, always key, especially for a team that, Ike, as you noted in the first quarter, does have a lot of young talent.
Yeah, you need that veteran leadership, and it comes also with Danny Kuhn, by the way, being the only captain this season for the Bulldogs. So having full confidence in Danny is James Cardillo this season to lead the squad as he can. And Danny's had an excellent year for the Bulldogs, doing what he should for them, and being the captain, being in that locker room. Like I said, I get to see a lot of this, and Danny being a true leader for his squad as the Bulldogs and Chargers talk things over. 2:06 in the third quarter. We'll take a quick break, and we'll step aside for now. See you in a couple seconds. It's 52-35. Welcome back here. Final 10-plus minutes of the game. 2 minutes in the third quarter. Here's Walker, and he gets it to go. Quick floater gets in, and the Bulldogs from a side angle take 2 points on themselves. 54-35. Here's Cam Hayes-Dorino, who has been really good, Jared.
Yeah, he has been really good, and I think that's the MVP of today so far.
Matt Smith bangs a 3. Sorry we weren't able to call that in live action, but that was a huge one for Smith. Again, a sophomore hitting a deep ball.
That was me fumbling my words, but yes, Cam Hayes-Dorino has definitely been one of the best players on the floor today. Of course, outshined by Spotswood's just amazing scoring and defense, but Cam Hayes-Dorino has been at least Metuchen's best player, I think.
Aquavia fell to the ground. He was fouled. And that foul total, both sides have been pretty even at 4 and 4 here in the second half. Definitely something to keep your eye on, with both of them being pretty high. And bonuses becoming a potential reality, actually almost a lock for reality in these next couple minutes.
And only in the third quarter, too.
Yeah. That could really help turn the tide for Metuchen. I guess they'd hope. And bonuses, if you don't know, it turns any shot into a shooting foul, essentially. So if it's, just any sort of foul, you get sent to the line for 1 and 1. So if you hit the first one, you earn yourself a second shot. And once you get to 10 fouls as a team, it goes to automatic 2 shots. So bonus, definitely a thing to keep your eye on. Eddie, I'm sure you know a lot about the bonus dealing with Rutgers and all the fouling that goes on with them.
Yeah, I mean, in general, Big Ten basketball is a physical game, and you often see bonus, double bonus go into full effect there, and it's always interesting to pay attention to that and just see how physical it is. It's funny to watch this because the floor spacing I'm seeing right now with Metuchen and Spotswood is a whole lot more than you see with a lot of Big Ten schools.
That's a good point. I think a lot of that has to do with the height and just what they're able, how much ground they're able to cover with their arms, with their, just with their legs, with their stride. So that's a good point. I do think that it's a little bit different. A lot of spacing here. Here's Smith taking a jumper. That's not an easy shot to take, and maybe not one that he probably should have. You want to set yourself up for easier chances, and that one obviously counts just as much as a layup, so maybe set yourself up for a layup.
And that's when vision becomes an important topic, because he had that, but we also saw Hayes Durina come around the back door, cut inside, and he was uncontested. So Smith had a prime chance. The defense was beat. He could have fed it to Hayes Durina, and he would have had a high percentage look right at the cup. So got to be careful in that situation, as Nardino, who's been, like I said, the unsung hero here for the Chargers, hitting that first free throw.
And he'll get sent to the line for his second chance now. First one goes in, second doesn't, splits the pair. 40 seconds left. We'll kick to Jacob Crumholtz after the quarter ends, after these final 38 seconds. Here's Jason Woods with it. He kicks to the far corner. Kuhn moving inside, left dribble, goes to our far area. Smith with a three-pointer that won't fall. And a foul, shooting foul defensively on Spotswood, gets sent to the line, and that's foul number 5, guys.
Yeah, first thought that was going to be potentially over the back against Metuchen as they went for the rebound, but Chargers get it, and this is really the one good thing that I've really seen from Metuchen in the third quarter compared to that first half, is that they are aggressive trying to get the ball inside, and that's paying off with some opportunities at the line.
First shot by Leighton Emsley, the sophomore, goes in. Got to capitalize on these free throws. They've been generally pretty good about those tonight, hitting almost all of them. This first one goes. Second one might not count, as there was an early jump by Luca Cuevia, and the senior will earn Leighton Emsley one more shot. Emsley too short on the second. 25 seconds in the third quarter. Metuchen trails by 17, outscoring Spotswood by 2 here in this third quarter. That's not going to cut it. You need to probably chip away a little bit more than that if you don't want to swallow the whole thing in the fourth quarter. They've got a lot to do and a lot of work to clean up for themselves in the final moments of this game. And even more than we had thought, a three-point banger nailed by Braden Crawling. We haven't talked about him too much, but he's been excellent. We'll kick to Jacob Crumholtz for the Jake Down.
How's it going, everybody? Good night. Welcome back to the Jake Down. Little third quarter recap here in the second half. Not exactly to plan as the Bulldogs had wanted. Still down with a pretty sizable deficit. The important thing, as we kind of talked about, was going to be rebounding and shot selection, and two things that the Bulldogs just haven't seemed to get right so far here in this third quarter. And in the first half we saw, we know that Spotswood's a very physical team, a very high octane offense. Bulldogs just haven't been able to match, and that's just really as easy as it is. There's been phenomenal play throughout the board, though. The Bulldogs have kept it interesting, and look, they're not out of it yet. They just have to make those shot selections a little tighter, a little cleaner, and just try and avoid some of the fouls they've had here. Find those easy layups, just get it going, and they'll be right back in it. And just don't count this Bulldogs team out. If there's anything we've learned from this season, don't count them out. So, thank you again. Thanks for tuning into the Jake Down. We might have a little bit back for you here in the fourth quarter at the end of the game, but thanks for joining us here through these first three quarters. And I'll kick it back to Ike, Eddie, and Jared in the booth.
Well, thanks, Jacob. Thanks, Jacob. As always, great input by you and the crew as the Jake Down. Another successful day aside from the first quarter, which I think we'll just forget about because there was no audio there. Here's a three-pointer from the corner, another one, and it's good. That was Nardino, three-pointer, and it's going to extend the lead now to a really tough one, 62-39. Spotswood up, and they have the ball.
Yeah, and that's really the turning point here. Right at the end of the third quarter, you get that 3, and then you immediately start with the ball in the fourth and hit another one. I want to circle back to that last play of the third quarter because that was excellent. We saw Crawlin go to the corner, feed it in for Nardino, and then when he got doubled, Nardino with the wherewithal to kick the ball back to the corner to an open Crawlin, and here again, finding Crawlin open for the jumper, and Metuchen right now again, kind of just playing from behind, trying to make plays defensively, but Spotswood clearly showing they're the better team.
It's too easy for them right now, Spotswood that is, and as you see Woods hit a jumper as he has all day and all season. It's good, 64-41 with 7:06, but it's a good point, Eddie, and the way that they ended the third quarter was very similar to the way that they ended the first half, right? We saw the quick steal by Nardino, and he, with a buzzer beater layup, was able to extend the lead. And obviously, that doesn't mean that much, as we'll check out the replay from just moments ago on our YouTube. This was the three-pointer, 6-5-4, bang, with the third quarter coming to a close, as you didn't see, but the first free throw was falling through. But the first half, it was a lot of the same. The game was very similar, and at the end of the first half, they were able to add those points. And obviously, the 18 versus 20-point lead is not that important, but it feels more important than it actually is when you're going into the locker room after some more momentum.
And that play was crazy. I mean, they put Leighton Emsley, it looked like, pretty much on skates as he tried to retreat back to his man. And again, right now for Spotswood, got to give props to them. Going on the road against Metuchen. I know they've won the last 5 meetings, but still never easy to win in the GMC Blue Division. And to be able to do it and be as successful as they have been throughout the game immediately from the jump, this is a really talented team, and no question why they're just right behind Timothy Christian atop the division.
Yeah, they are really having a chance to compete with Timothy Christian. Should be a fun one when they meet one more time. For the rest of the year, it will be in Spotswood, and there's the 4th foul on Spotswood's Luca Quavia, which is interesting because he's their 6th man, and that was his 4th foul, which is very interesting to have that many fouls but not get starting minutes. And the first one by Galligan goes through. The second one, he'll have the chance now. It's good. Clock running with 6:39 in the final moments of this one. Nardino bouncer towards the paint. Walker into the glass, as he has so many times, gets those points.
So slippery with the finish there. Walker had the double team, faked out one, went under the other, and was able to get it in and made it look easy. So, I mean, he is incredible. Kai Walker, he's the leading scorer on this team, 2nd in rebounding, but really imposing as well.
Yeah, leading the team, it almost feels like every stat, but really it's just points. But that just shows how much his effect goes. His points value has been so important towards this team and their success this season. 276 points, and we are just about halfway through the season.
And it's funny, too, Ike, Daniel Yaris is their number 2 scorer and their leading rebounder. And Metuchen, I'd say in general, has done a pretty good job taking him out of the game. But it hasn't mattered, and we've seen this Spotswood team find other ways to find success. And Kai Walker, despite being essentially draped over and blanketed throughout the game by Metuchen defense, he has really been unfazed and really impressive to see. And it's going to be fun to see what he can do going forwards the remainder of the year.
Absolutely, and obviously it's his senior year, so time is winding down, but he has not taken the season any lightly at all. He's been excellent. Here's a three-pointer from Woods, air balls, and they're just happy they're not playing this game in Spotswood, or they'd be hearing it the rest of the game, as they had. Cam Dorita airballed one shot, and they let him know all game. And like I said, playing in that court just looked so hard to do for Metuchen, so I was expecting a little bit of a better performance tonight compared to last game. But they just haven't come out as strong, and a lot of that, I think, you can give credit to Spotswood for looking so fiery from the get-go.
Yeah, and Ike, when you think big picture here, too, for Spotswood, the real challenge for these public schools, can they contend with the non-publics, in the GMC tournament, because you know what St. Joe's and St. Thomas Aquinas bring to the table, and all of a sudden now we're going to see coming into the picture too Timothy Christian. So we've seen some of these schools. J.P. Stevens had that good run 3 years ago. Colonia's had some good seasons. South Brunswick and North Brunswick have contended for titles the last couple of years. See where Spotswood stacks up second in the blue division, but still, you know, a lot to contend with as the year goes on.
Absolutely. As the ball goes out of bounds, Bulldogs ball, easy layup to go, and Cam Hayes-Darina gets it to go. So it's 67-46. Final 5 minutes. Might start to see some bench guys from both squads. Maybe not quite yet, but at some point I think we will.
And if you're Metuchen, you know, as tough as this game has been, this is a tough week in general, and you really can't forget about it, because I think, Jared, you mentioned this is the first of 3 games, and you wrap up with senior night on Friday. So tough game here on a Monday, but got to get right back out it on Wednesday and again on Friday, and all of them at home, so more chances for them to make up for this one.
Right, so they have Timothy Christian Wednesday, of course, that's the top in the division, and Spotswood can't even beat them, so that's an even tougher matchup than today. Wardlaw Hartridge is a little less strong matchup, and then you finish the week, actually on Saturday, they were visiting Island Kennedy, so that should also be a good game for Metuchen. They won by, I believe it was 19, and that was here last time. We had some issues on that broadcast. I remember we were having some trouble trying to get the stream up, but
there's always one. I think that's probably one of the things you don't miss about the high school streaming setups. I know that you had a different setup, but the tech problems.
Oh, well, the tech problems have always existed. Yeah. It's just, you know, different ones.
Right, and even with Huddle, which you'd expect it to be a little better, sometimes there's problems.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of the time there's problems.
But regardless. Even still, you know, it's still great to see what you guys continue to do here. And I mean, there's not a lot of high schools, especially public schools, that have these kinds of broadcasting opportunities. And to have been a person who kind of got this started and to see where it's developed now with you guys over the years, it's really fun to take in as an observer. And I mean, I know, Ike, you're a senior, but it seems like there's a lot of people who are involved here from the other grades, so it's really nice to see that it just continues through different generations.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really, you know, we're here in the booth. Jared and I, we really love it. I mean, we talk about it all the time, how much of an honor it is to be able to take over this. And I'm the second president, I guess, of the media club here at the Metuchen High School, which is starting to become, it's really on the rise. And you started to help with Ben. I know that was more the media club might have been more his area, but you also were a major part in, probably the biggest part in creating this tech, this streaming idea of streaming the home games, and you did it. I mean, that's so impressive with a tripod and an iPhone, just the commitment you had and kind of where it's come from since.
Yeah, I can go all the way back my freshman year when I first wanted to do this. I started the podcast, and I wanted to call some games, and with football, I remember we had to use like this. We started with this weird dial-in radio thing where they put it on some stream link, and that was a mess. And then I was like, you know what? Let me try to do this myself. And I would go on Twitter and I'd stream. And I have a tripod, and me and Josh Hyman, shout out to Josh, you know, did a lot with me those few years.
Yeah, we had him on the air last year, right? This time too.
Yeah, he's doing good. He's at UDEL, and you know, we had a lot of fun with that. And then Ben came along, and with his help, we were really able to take this from a technical side to the next level. And, you know, as I talked about, it's a nice three-pointer there from Metuchen. You know, it was nice to kind of take this thing, and they're going to give it a 2, apparently.
Yeah, I saw his toes were right on the line there.
Yeah, but, you know, it was so fun to continue to grow it to the next level. And during COVID especially, there was, you know, the necessity for us to stream these games. And now seeing you guys getting involved and seeing the tech, I mean, we got like 3 different rooms going at one time.
Right.
I mean, this is awesome.
So now with this tech, I have to ask you, what's the better setup, this or Rutgers?
I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, Rutgers, we do have the full production truck, which is fun with when I do TV stuff. So, you know, to kind of paint the picture, they set up a truck outside the arena or the stadium, and, you know, there's like 6 cameras usually, and we just imagine this. We have this whole setup here with like these 2 mixers. You got like 8 of them all across the row. It's fun. We got a couple computers.
And with MSG too, right?
Yeah, I did that last year. That was a lot of fun for some high school football, and working next week doing some high school basketball as well. Cooper Flagg, who's going to Duke. I'm calling one of his games from Monteverdi. They're coming and playing at Franklin High School in some tournaments, so that should be a lot of fun. And I'm excited next year. Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey at Rutgers.
Eddie, Rutgers sounds pretty awesome. How does it compare to the Big House? You were in Michigan this year, able to stream with all your gear at the Big House and able to call that game on radio. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, whether you're a Michigan fan or not, whether you're a fan of Connor Stallions or not, their facilities are top notch. And I mean, that stadium, there's really nothing like it. 108,000 seats. And I mean, for visiting radio students, we had our own booth with these big windows, tables, so much space. You know, you don't really expect that. And to get that as a visitor and as a student, you can only imagine what everybody else got. So that's probably the coolest place I've gotten to do a game so far, and I'm excited to continue to do that and maybe go West Coast next year because Big Ten's going to be adding USC and UCLA.
Oh, that could be awesome. USC, UCLA, and of course Oregon and Washington. At both teams, all four teams were really successful this season in football. Actually, USC more or less and UCLA more or less, but Oregon and Washington were very strong, and adding them to the Big Ten, especially Washington, it's gonna be really scary for Rutgers. But you know what? They're on the rise too. If we're gonna talk a little Rutgers football.
Yeah, great.
Just like with all their athletics.
Yeah, Greg Schiano's done a good job in his second tenure. I was at the Pinstripe Bowl working that Yankee Stadium, which was fun, and they got that win over Miami, 7-6. And most impressive thing is how they're bringing back so much talent. Kyle Monungai and a few defenders. You know,
he was supposed to declare, and he decided not to last second, right, Monungai?
Yeah, which means that a lot of players have bought into the chop mentality. And hey, I know that you're adding those new teams, but they don't play Michigan or Ohio State next year. So that's
Is that right?
Yes, they have some real opportunities with the schedule to have a good season next fall.
They do. And their team, their program in general is on the rise as well.
And I was talking about this as a Maryland fan, whether I was willing to trade Michigan and Ohio State, because their schedule's the same. Trading Michigan and Ohio State with USC and UCLA and Washington. Am I willing to take that game over a Michigan or an Ohio State game?
Maybe you are because of the having to go all West as a college kid and going into the West, as you see a missed layup by Spotswood and they get the rebound. But you know, there's that travel factor, and these are kids. These are not professional athletes, so it's tough. I'm assuming for them to deal with.
Rutgers had a chance against Ohio State.
Yeah, that's true. There's Ben Santis with a layup. You missed it. One of the guys said, one of the tech guys that just pointed out that Rutgers had a chance against Ohio State, but it was just for a little bit. It wasn't for too long.
Yeah, that's become the trend. They play a really good first half against a good team, and then the roof kind of caves in.
Or first quarter.
Except for some reason, I don't know why, Jared, against Maryland every year, it's a mess. It's the worst game of the year every season.
I was watching that game, and that was bitter cold, but Maryland, I think, went up 21-0 early.
I mean, Talia, very talented, but I mean, Rutgers finds themselves immediately like 20-point holes against them every year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it just depends on your matchups. And Eddie, you were an intern at the Bruce Beck Sports Broadcasting Camp for me a couple years ago. 2 years ago, that was one of the most amazing experiences for me to be able to work with with Bruce. First of all, Mike Quick, one of the best teachers I've ever had, and you told me about that. But that experience being an intern for such an important person and such an important program.
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, I was a student there like 6 years, which is crazy.
You were the youngest student, right, to ever go there at the time?
Yeah.
13 or something?
Yeah, it was really great. I mean, Mike Quick is such a great teacher, and it was great, all of those experiences. And, you know, for anybody who's interested in sports broadcasting, I mean, it is certainly worth the investment for those 5 days. The people that you get to meet, the on-camera and off-camera work you get to do over just 5 days. And I'll say this, Mike Quick always mentions how it's kind of like a college class.
Yeah.
It's that and more. And the fact that you get to do that much as a high schooler in 5 days, it is such a jump start for anyone who gets to have that chance.
And didn't you guys meet Mike Breen as well? I think you did.
Oh, yeah, so they also have special guests coming, usually a couple a week. Rookie camp is when you get to meet a lot of the main, more of the guests, because it's more work focused based when you're in the pro camp, or the veteran camp, I should say. But yeah, it's impressive. Some of the people you're able to meet this year. We met Steve Gelbs, Mike Breen, Eddie Cohen, So the list goes on. It's really a fun, great camp, great opportunities for us. So as you see a fadeaway jumper for Cam Hayes-Darina, he hits it with a minute to go. Metuchen's going to fall this one. Eddie, the final score, not the final score, but as of now, 78-59. Metuchen just didn't quite have enough tonight.
Yeah, I mean, when Spotswood comes out on the road and hits 3 3-pointers in the first 2 minutes, you know it's going to be a challenge. And the Bulldogs gave up 20 in that first quarter. Couldn't really get back into this one. Have shown flashes, and Cam Hayes-Darina, as Jared said, showed up in football, made a statement. He's clearly on the basketball court as well, showing his prowess, and having that at your disposal, plus the combo of Woods and Santis, Metuchen definitely going to have some chances to pick up some more wins this year and maybe make some noise in the GMC tournament. They just ran into a buzzsaw today against a Spotswood team that I think could be a sneaky contender to maybe even make it to the GMC semis.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jared, looking ahead, like we said, tell us what we have in store for a big week here at Metuchen basketball. Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, we have a packed schedule these next couple days. Wednesday you're playing a very tough matchup in Timothy Christian. Friday you're playing Wardlaw Hartridge. That will be the boys basketball senior night, honoring Ben Santis, Cody Cardillo, and of course your captain, Danny Kuhn. Saturday, then you're visiting Isling Kennedy, and you go down the line from there. But a tough couple days here for Metuchen and a packed schedule.
It is a packed schedule, an exciting one at that. Eddie, thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. It was really an honor every time you're here. It's great, and I really see you as one of my role models. Starting this, being able to, help me develop my interest in the business. It's really awesome to have you on, and as always, thank you so much.
I really appreciate it again. Always like coming back here once in a while to see what's going on. Best of luck at Syracuse next year, and everybody else in this program, seeing everybody be a part of it. It's really a pleasure to come back and to see where it's going.
Well, pleasure is ours. 78-62 final score. Chargers take this one in the Brainy Borough. Bulldogs fall back to 500 on the season. That'll just about do it from the Bulldog Report. Jared Popek and Eddie Kalegi. This was the Bulldog Report. 78-62 final score. We'll see you on Wednesday.